Well, hello, everyone. How are you doing? How is your 2022 bingo card filling up nicely? Did you have the start to World War III on your bingo card? Telling you. So, welcome. Welcome. It's great to have you here. If this is your first time to catch my broadcast, thank you for taking a moment to stop by. My name is Renee Harden, and that would be Milo, my kitty, making his presence known because it is, after all, time for introductions, isn't it? But it's great to have you here. As I said, my name is Renee Harden. By trade, I'm an editor, I'm a writing coach. I help authors who are brand new to the whole publishing process kind of get their feet wet and help them along the road towards publication. Also, a content writer. Um, but I do this little show on the weekends called From the Editor's Desk, and I love sharing stories about, what's going on in our week, what's been going on in your week. Hi, Milo. Good to see you there. How you doing? Good to say hi to the folks this morning. All of the great stories that surround us every day to help you hopefully inspire a story of your own that you can share with folks. And I'm not talking about just posting on social media. I'm talking about truly sharing your work, like having a purpose for your writing other than just blasting it, stuff out into the netherworld. Anyway, great to see you all here. Thanks so much. Good to see the folks who are watching live. Good morning, Stephanie over on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. Teresa, good to see you. Always a pleasure. If you're here watching live, make sure to pop in and say hello so that I can say good morning to you. But as always, I share a mug from my rather large coffee cup collection. And today's mug is from a favorite store that I discovered here in the last, 4 months. REI. I'd kind of been inside an REI, but never really seriously considered what an REI store is for. But I made several trips to the REI store in my area here in Dallas, Texas, when we went to the Galapagos. Finding some swimsuits and rash guards in December, 2 weeks before Christmas, was kind of interesting. So shout out to Whitney at REI who helped me out. I even ran into some of my family members at REI because we were all trying to prep for the same trip. But what I loved about this mug, and my husband Michael gave me this mug this Christmas holiday because it has one of my favorite, not favorite, but pet peeves with grammar. Yesterday was National Grammar Day. We shouldn't just have one day a year where we celebrate, but truly, try to use better grammar throughout our everyday life. But this cup is one of my favorites because it says a part, not apart. I can't tell you how many times I see people post and say, I'm so happy to be a part of this ministry, or I'm so glad to be a part of this company. And yet what they don't realize they're saying is that they're glad to be separated from this ministry, or they are glad to be separated from this job. You are a part. You are a part, not a part. But I love that this is a theme because we are a part of our natural world. We're not apart from it. And so REI focuses on great outerwear and things that you need if you are into cycling, if you are into hiking, kayaking, the outdoors life. Yeah. So I was really amazed at the minimal amount of clothes that I could take on a trip like to the Galapagos because we were going to be hiking. We needed clothes that we could wash in the sink if necessary. And REI has those kinds of things. And so I didn't have to take a large suitcase. And knowing me, I still took a suitcase with things that I didn't end up using because I didn't need them on a boat. But REI has been in business since 1938. So, cheers to REI. And remember, every day is a good day to use grammar. Yes, you phrased that perfectly, Stephanie. Every day is a good day to use grammar, except every day should be 2 words because the word every day is an adjective. Did you know that? Every day is an adjective because that tells you when you do an action every day. I do this every day. But if you do it every day, like if it's an everyday routine, that's an adjective describing routine, saying how often it occurs. So it's an everyday routine. It's an everyday occurrence. It's an everyday habit. But if you do something every day, it's 2 words. Interesting about our language. This is another case of it, a part and a part, right? So that's important. But yes, Stephanie, listen, and that's why I'm here to help because I'm doing all I can to help folks like you and others out there share their words in the best possible form, right? Good morning, Savannah. You have your wicked mug today filled with hot apple cider. Oh, that sounds so delicious. And I love that you have apple cider in a wicked mug. Wasn't it apples that the witch gave Cinderella? Mm. So I hope wherever you are, you'll take a few minutes. We're going to talk about a couple of things. I've got some great book recommendations for you, things that are coming out. But more importantly, I wanted to talk to you about seasonal changes. Seasonal changes. Welcome to the month of March. This is the first Saturday in the month of March. And if I was looking at the calendar correctly, we have 5 weeks in this month. This is one of those months. I'm looking over here on my Finnish calendar where there's 5 Tuesdays in the month, 5 Wednesdays in the month. That doesn't happen again until August. So we have 2 months in the year where we have 5 weeks. And so March is one of them. So this is when the weather starts to change. We start having changes. We know that we're coming out of winter. Some places, y'all are still in frigid temps, and I'm so sorry about that. You're making a brown sugar shaken espresso at home this morning. Yay, yum. You're using your NASA mug that you got in your last Christmas exchange that has your special weekend coffee, Irish cream with amaretto. Yum, right? Right. Wherever you are, whatever mug you have and whatever is in your mug, I'm glad that you're celebrating with me this morning. So as I was saying, I was looking at the calendar, right? So this is the first weekend of March and we know that things are going to be changing. In fact, next weekend, guys, daylight saving time. Not daylight savings time, daylight saving time. But we'll talk about that next week. But a lot of things are changing. A lot of people start planting their gardens, planting their flowers. If they're a vegetable garden, they're planting it now. If there's any kind of projects to do around the house, they're starting to do them now because the temperatures are getting warmer, right? It allows for you to do more things outside. And kudos to all the folks who do things outside, even when it's cold, like the Olympics, man, right? But because you do that, you need a company like REI. But seasonal changes, guys, and not just with the weather. Anybody have World War III, like I said earlier, on your 2022 bingo card? Right? Did we know that we were going to have an invasion of a country to another country? Just out of the blue, I'm going to invade you and blow up your stuff and bomb you and make you flee, make you run with whatever little possessions you have to the nearest exit of your country. I mean, imagine, guys, if that happened to us. We're sitting on this side of the world, right here on the social media platform, enjoying coffee or cider or Irish cream with amaretto. And we are, we're appreciating life right now. But for our brothers and sisters who are on the other side of the world, They're fleeing. Over 1 million of them fleeing into countries who will take them, fleeing to a place where they won't be bombed or shot. Um, and this is scary because it's changed the way our world sees things. We don't, and good grief, the decade of 2020 has been interesting so far. I don't know about y'all. I would like to find my receipt and take it back and return it, possibly for another decade, like the 80s, where things were fun and social media wasn't around and we felt more certain about our future, right? So there's all kinds of changes going on. Maybe there's changes in maybe you're expecting a baby. Maybe you are getting married. Maybe you're graduating from college, right? The school year is going to be winding down. We're going to have graduates, people graduating from high school, going into college, people graduating from college, going out into the real world. Lots of seasonal changes, not just with the weather, but in our life, right? And how we handle those changes, how we respond to those changes are huge because it really affects how we live our life. Now, I'm going to try to do this without disrupting. See if I can do this here. I'm going to put these on it. I'm going to show you a book here, but I have to move this and it's on the stand where my camera is. So I have to be careful that I weigh it properly. There we go. So that my camera doesn't move. Did it. Yay. So talking about how we respond. So last month in our book club, we did this book. It's called Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. If you've not read this book, I want to encourage you to get it, especially in dealing with what we've been dealing with the past couple of years and probably in the years coming up, right? How we're going to respond. But this book, Brene Brown takes us through a journey. She maps out 87 different emotions that we have because we're human and helps us identify them and clearly define them so that we know how to formulate a proper response to the things that are going on around us, to the people that we come in contact with on a daily basis, whether it's through Zoom or whether it's through a broadcast like this or whether it's in real life. Fantastic book. Really great. Helps us understand what's going on. So this is a huge book recommendation. We just did it in our book club. Highly recommend this book. You were doing a gymnastics competition yesterday while children were being separated from their fathers, brothers. Right. It really does make you thankful for where we are. Right. It truly does. And what can we do? How can we share? Well, a lot of stories are going out from the Ukraine, updating us on, if you're on social media, if you're on any of the platforms, if you're on TikTok, if you are on Instagram, those are the main platforms that are sharing a lot of content from people who are boots on the ground in the country. Some of the stuff we see is heartbreaking. I don't know about you, but when I see it, I want to do something. I want to help. And so there have been a lot of things going around. Be careful of what you give to. Be very, very careful who you give your support to and money to. Make sure they are credible sources. As I shared last week, and I'm going to put the link back up today. This is a program that you can support if you go to orphanoutreach.com. I had lunch with my friend Ronnie Rock, who works for them. They have a program in Ukraine, in Dnipro, in fact. And so the money that has been collected here and sent is going to the staff and the children, because there are older children who are getting ready to graduate. And what they call graduate is aging out of the orphanage, right? And having to start their life on their own. No family. The orphanage where they've been raised is the only sense of stability they know. Now their country is so unstable. So the older boys were able to help get the girls at least moved to a safe place. The boys, of course, cannot leave the country due to martial law, because the children cannot leave the country without an adult. And the boys cannot leave because they may be called upon to fight. So, yeah, you have to be careful because right. You're right, Teresa. Be careful where you give to. Also, a big way to help when you don't have money, supplies, or resources is just to share the stories so that those who are able to give when they can. Yes, absolutely. So it's important for us to get the news out. The news is being suppressed and pushed down in Russia. A different narrative is being told to the people. However, because of social media, because of TikTok, but unfortunately, with the sanctions that are happening now, they may be cut off from those sources of information. So we need to get help to the people there, and help organizations. So right, martial laws that men and boys 18 to 40 are required to stay for fighting. Right. And it's tough. So I have a couple of friends who are in fact, the guy who was the photographer at my wedding, his wife is Ukrainian. They have direct contacts to people over there who are helping certain families survive. I mean, because the food is going to start running out. The money, the ruble has dropped in value, 50%. And so the people are going to suffer the most. We need to pray and believe. Partner is Russia is partnering with China and using the same media techniques as China. Right, right. So we have to be very careful, and we have to make sure that we get the news out to our contacts and our sources, right? Because things change on a daily basis now. We have to be prepared for anything, right? So, on that note, let's talk about stories. Let's talk about some other stories that have happened in the news, some stories that are coming in this next week. Book release days, as I've mentioned before, are on Tuesdays, and so I always love when there are some great book recommendations I can make for you. When I talked about our book club, and I'm really excited and had no idea how timely this book would be given our current situation in our world. But this is our book pick for the month of March. Um, in the Darkness of War, The Light of Books. This is based on the true World War II story of the heroic librarians of the American Library in Paris. The Paris Library is an unforgettable story of friendship, family, romance, and the power of literature to bring us together. The book is told in flashback between a woman named Odile Souchet, Paris, 1939. Young and ambitious Odile Souchet has it all: her handsome police officer beau and a dream job at the American Library in Paris. But when the Nazis march in to occupy the city, Odile stands to lose everything she holds dear, including her beloved library. Together with her fellow librarians, Odile joins the resistance with the best weapons she has: books. When the war finally ends, instead of savoring freedom, Odile tastes the bitter sting of unspeakable betrayal. Montana, 1983. Lily is a lonely teenager looking for adventure in small town Montana, and the air of mystery about her solitary elderly neighbor from Paris piques her interest. As Lily uncovers hints about her past, she finds that they share a love of language, the same longings, and the same intense jealousy, never suspecting that a dark secret connects them too. A powerful novel that explores the consequences of our choices and the relationships that make us who we are: family, friends, and favorite authors. The Paris Library illuminates a little known corner of history where a passion for literature inspired extraordinary acts of courage and love. Super excited, guys, to read this story. And again, I had this scheduled on my list of books that I wanted to read for 2022, not having any idea that our world would be in conflict at the same time. So sometimes reading books like this help us walk through those experiences and again, understand how to respond to them and understand how to have hope in the midst of difficult situations, right? So, the Paris Library, if you would like to join the book club, let me know. I'm going to give you a link here where you can join because we have fun. We have great discussions over the book. We try to go an hour and 15 minutes. This last one went a little long because boy, did we have stuff to say about Atlas of the Heart. So, again, love reading great books, love to share those recommendations with you. So, lots of great stories. Um, listen, I've already started it, Stephanie. Um, it's reading really well. It's told in flashbacks. So you go from the past to the present and then I'm sure at some point we're going to see how these two characters' lives cross. But I'm super excited to read it. So again, if you would like to join the book club, you can let me know. Always love to have new folks join us. We have some great discussions. And again, we talk about other things besides our book club pick. And hopefully soon, I'm going to be sharing more info about, because I've had a lot of questions here lately from people who are new authors. I love working with new authors. I love helping them understand the process of self-publishing their books, what it takes, what the steps are, those tangible steps you take towards publication, all the phases of publication, and understanding who does what, and whether you want to be published through a literary agent or a publishing house, or if you want to self-publish your own books. So, love helping authors with that. And sometimes we discuss those kinds of things. So, if you want to join us, or if you just want to contact me and talk about that, let me know. All right. So, month of March, a lot of great things. One of them is Women's History Month. So, I'll be focusing on authors who are women who are sharing their stories, sharing their craft in new and exciting ways. And so, one of the books, it came out this week. I'm a huge fan of her father, but it is the book called Imagine If Creating a Future for All of Us, written by Kate Robinson, the daughter of Sir Ken Robinson. If you're not familiar with Sir Ken Robinson, let me grab I have some of his other books right here. Let's see. Love that I can just grab them off my bookshelf. But Sir Ken Robinson wrote the book called The Element, about finding your passion. This book is a hymn to the breathtaking diversity of human talent and passion and to our extraordinary potential for growth and development. So Sir Ken Robinson has one of the most viewed TED Talks in existence. He has been a proponent and a mentor to those who are wanting to reshape and make changes to the way we educate the next generation. I was lucky enough that I had the opportunity to homeschool both of my children when my life was attached more to the entertainment industry. My late husband was a lighting designer. We were on tour. And so I was able to take my children and craft what would be called an IEP, an individualized educational plan for my children. And that was homeschooling. And so Sir Ken Robinson has written several books. The Element, he wrote one called Creative Schools, the Grassroots Revelation that's transforming education. But unfortunately, we lost Ken Robinson in the year 2020. And so this was the book that he was working on before he passed. It's kind of like a summation of his life's work, and it was completed by his daughter, Kate Robinson. So it was launched on March 1st. They are planning a whole month of activities around the publication of this book. It's not a huge book, but it is a concise and to the point book about I love, and this was one of the things that he talked about regularly in his desire to reshape education, were the 8 core competencies. The difference between conventional curriculum written now and the core competency levels, which all children should master as part of their educational process. So one of them is curiosity, the ability to ask questions and explore how the world works. Babies are born deeply curious. It is curiosity that takes them from tiny, helpless creatures dependent on their parents for every waking need to independent toddlers. It is the curiosity that inclines these toddlers to ask more questions than most parents have answers to. Curiosity is our most comprehensive learning tool in the first few years of life. Then there's creativity, the ability to generate new ideas and apply them in practice. It's one thing to come up with a lot of ideas, it's another to take the practical steps to implement them into something, whether it's a business, a book, your job, um, mentorship programs, sports teams, right? Product creation. Then there's criticism, the ability to analyze information and ideas and to form reasoned arguments and judgments. Notice it doesn't talk about the kind of criticism that belittles and nitpicks. It's about criticism, to get a critique, the ability to analyze information and ideas and to form reasoned arguments and judgments. Communication, the ability to express thoughts and feelings clearly and confidently in a range of media and form. That's what I love to do with authors, is help them communicate their stories or communicate services that they want to offer or products they want to sell or tools they want to use to help people learn, right? Communication. Then there's collaboration, the ability to work constructively with others. Do you play nice with others? I hope you do. And that's an important trait for our children to learn. Then there's compassion, the ability to empathize with others and act accordingly. Composure, the ability to connect with the inner life of feeling and develop a sense of personal harmony and balance. And there's citizenship, the ability to engage constructively with society and to participate in the process that sustains it. Those are 8 core competency levels that all people should develop. Does our current curriculum teach that? And if not, how can you change that? Well, he's talking about that, from the factory to the farm. So this book, imagine if creating a future for all of us, right? So highly recommend this book. I'm reading this one as well because I love, again, I'm a fan of Ken Robinson's work. And so this is his book put out by his daughter. So Kate, congratulations for pulling this together and sharing this last part of your father's life with us, because we miss him tremendously. So Ken Robinson's book, Imagine If. I'll be putting links to these in the comments below to make sure you have all of these books. There's another great book coming out. In fact, it drops on Monday. And I'm super, super excited about this one because this is actually from someone in Nashville. You know her. She's an icon in the entertainment industry. She manages to stay the course even in the middle of difficult circumstances in our world, and she's able to reach across all lines. But in this case, she's doing something new, and I'm super excited about this. Dolly Parton is joining a major author, and on Monday, let me hold on, let me put this, I'm going to get this out of the screen so you can see it. But on Monday, Dolly Parton's book that she has written with James Patterson is dropping on Monday. Guys, I'm super excited about this one. And let me read you, I'm going to pull up here on my phone. I'm going to pull up the description of the book. So Dolly is joining James Patterson. And if you are familiar with James Patterson as an author, you already know the kind of books that he writes. But this one is going to be fantastic. I'm going to pull this up on my phone so I can read you the description. But Dolly Parton, and there's a reason why this book is going to be really great, because it's Dolly, but she's also done something else in conjunction with this. So The description of this book, um, from America's most beloved superstar and its greatest storyteller, because that's what Dolly is. She is a storyteller, right? Through her music. This is a thriller about a young singer songwriter on the rise and on the run, determined to do whatever it takes to survive. Every song tells a story. She's a star on the rise, singing about the hard life behind her. She's also on the run. Find a future, lose a past. Nashville is where she's come to claim her destiny. It's also where the darkness she's fled might find her and might destroy her. Run, Rose, Run is a novel glittering with danger and desire, a story that only America's number one beloved entertainer and its number one best-selling author could have created. So, yeah, I'm excited about this. Dolly's not done something like this before. So, this is going to be an interesting book. It comes out, like I said, on Monday. Also, what's being released, because this is Dolly, right? Dolly has released an album that goes along with the book. So there are songs that correlate to this story. Talk about a genius. I mean, she's just brilliant. You need a copy of, I love that, Teresa. You need a copy because you love Dolly and James Patterson. Well, girlfriend, Monday. It drops on Monday. You can pre-order it now. But yes, and because the story is set in Nashville, of course, it piques my interest because I lived in Nashville for 23 years. And so it'll really be interesting. You'll have to check and see. I think everything drops on Monday, but Dolly's music to the book. I mean, I don't think I've heard or have known of an author to write their story and then release an album at the same time. A lot of times it's just telling their stories or it's a memoir. But I want a copy of this one. I definitely want a copy of it. And I want the music, right? Because it's Dolly. So check that out. You'll definitely need to get a copy of this. Now, another book that's dropping on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday? Yes, Tuesday, March the 8th. And this might be a little more controversial. I know that a lot of people are waiting to read this book. The jury is out on how people feel about this book, but it's being released nonetheless. And it's been talked about so far. If you start seeing these people come up on TV shows or on news programs, being interviewed, well, a lot of times it's because they have a book coming out, right? And so this is one that's been kind of forthcoming. We've known about it for a while. There's been issues with certain people having this book come out, but this is the book by William Barr. Bill Barr, as we all know him as President Trump's Attorney General. However, he was Attorney General before. So in this book, Bill Barr is going to provide a candid account of his tenures serving two vastly different presidents. He was the Attorney General under George H.W. Bush, so the first George Bush Sr. And he was also, of course, as we know, President Trump's Attorney General. Bill Barr's first tenure as Attorney General under President George Bush was largely the result of chance, while his second tenure under President Donald Trump, a deliberate and difficult choice. In this candid memoir, Barr takes readers behind the scenes during seminal moments of the 1990s, from the LA riots to Flight Pan Am 103 and the Iran-Contra situation. 30 years later, Barr faced an unrelenting barrage of issues such as Russiagate, the COVID outbreak, civil unrest, the impeachments, and the 2020 election fallout. One damn thing after another is vivid, forthright, and essential, not only to understand the Bush and Trump legacies, but also how both men viewed power and justice at critical junctures of their presidencies. despite your political leanings, I will tell you that it's always interesting to read the stories, and then determine whether you think, one, are they telling the truth or not? Because, right, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story and a perspective. And so this will be interesting to hear Bill Barr's words about what happened, what was going on, what he experienced in his time serving as the Attorney General to two vastly different presidents. So it'll be interesting to read about this one as well. Teresa, you just ordered, you got the book and CD on Amazon. Great. Oh, Dolly's? You love Dolly. You're going to Dollywood with your grandmother this year. Oh, how fun, Stephanie. Yeah, well, I'm telling you guys, I do too. I have Dolly's Storyteller right up there on my bookshelf. Yes, I do. Um, so for Dolly fans, right? Grab a copy of Run Rose Run book and CD. I'm interested to read that story. I can't wait to read that story. I can't wait to read your story. Do you have stories to tell? Do you have stories you want to share? It's important that you do that. Um, and I know that sometimes you may not want to share your words in a book format. Maybe you're not ready for that. You could start your own blog. You could start writing regularly and sharing that with people because it's important. You'll gain a little bit of a presence with your followers, right? And when you look at your social media numbers, remember, I want you to take that number and I want you to imagine that many people in a room with you and you're standing before them getting ready to speak. So, where you may think 350 followers is not a lot of people, if you were in a room with 350 people, that would be a lot, right? Share your story, share your content with those people consistently. You'll have a following of people who are used to seeing your writing. That's how we share our stories. That's how a lot of people are sharing their stories in different forms of content. So that's what I love to do. I love to help folks tell their stories, right? It's important to be a part and not apart. So if you have stories you want to share, you have a book like this maybe in you, you have a little book, something you want to put together, or maybe you have a larger story, a bigger story like this novel, right? Paris Library, our book club. Or like I said, maybe you just want to make your social media posts sound a little clearer, a little more clever maybe. There's ways that you can craft your words and share them where you'll have impact on those who read them. Are you wanting to start a business? Are you wanting to start a nonprofit organization? Are you wanting people to get behind you, behind a great cause like the one that's happening right now in Ukraine? Watch how people share that content, right? Be careful of how the content that you read, make sure you're not being scammed, right? And more importantly, share. Share your stories. Share your awesome stories with the world. You never know the difference you can make by sharing your story with someone, just like Sir Ken Robinson and the difference he made in putting this book out in, I believe, The Element was published in 2009. So this book was published in 2009. And this book became crucial to me when I was thinking about teaching my children and how to help them follow their passions and their dreams and developing their talent. When I was teaching and I wanted to create a better classroom for my students, I read this book of just ways to creatively teach them. And so now we have this book, Imagine If, right? By Ken Robinson. So again, guys, great stories, great books are a way that now that Sir Ken Robinson is gone, we have this left behind, that he left behind for us so that we can hear his voice, learn about him, learn about the things that he was passionate about, and hopefully try to take some of those ideas forward with us as life goes on, right? You share you share your stories in face-to-face situations. You have people alive that you don't want to create more conflict with by saying my truth. Right. That's already happened when you share some things publicly. And there are so many other books and posts, etc. Right. And things that you can share. And your circle doesn't even hit 100. Well, but you know what, Teresa? Still, imagine you in a room of 100 people. It's a lot of people. I mean, I can't even, I don't know that I could maybe fit that many people in my backyard area. But that's still, they would still be pretty crammed in. That's a lot of people, 100 people, right? So sharing what we share with our people is important. And you know what? The ones that show up and the ones that are there all the time, the ones that see your content, they're going to share it. And even if you've changed one person's life today, you've made a huge difference. You've already made a difference in mine just by showing up here and participating in this live stream broadcast. I so appreciate the people who are here live watching. It means a lot to me because we are connecting across this platform. So I hope that whatever you do this weekend, you have a wonderful time. I'm, in fact, heading back to Nashville, driving all day Sunday with my hubby. We're going back to Nashville. I've got some work to do there. So I love getting to share stories with people in different places. If you're in Nashville, let me know. I'd love to meet up and have some coffee. I'm having coffee with a couple of people when I get to Nashville anyway. One of them is one of my authors. So love getting to sit face to face and chat. So if you want to do that, if you want to get in touch, if you would like to have some coffee over, a Zoom call, I do that as well. And just if you want to pick my brain about writing or publishing a book or sharing your stories, or you just want to chat over a nice cup of coffee, let me know, right? Don't forget, you can also join the book club here. You still have time. It's only March the 5th, and you have time to join us because March, like I said, has 5 weeks. So plenty of time to read this book. And let me know. Let me know how I can help you share your story with someone and make a difference. Thanks for stopping by and letting me share some stories from the editor's desk. And hopefully this kicks your weekend off. Make it a great one, guys. And remember, you never know whose life you'll change just by being you. Get out there and share yourself with someone today. Make a difference. Have a great weekend. And we'll be back here next weekend as we get ready to spring forward. We're going to talk about daylight saving time. And lots of changes still coming. Are you ready? The month of March is flying by. Next thing you know, it'll be tax season. But that's a whole different story. We'll talk more about that and those kinds of things next weekend. So I hope you'll bring a story to share with me next Saturday. All right. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend.